Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. And yes, that's right, we have another comic book video today because I've started a brand new collection and I want to share with you guys all of the titles that I've picked up that fall into this new collection. So not only does DC have the DC Finest line, which I did show some of those pickups in another video, but Marvel has the equivalent, which is the Marvel Epic Collections. Now, how I understand it is that Marvel did the Epic Collections first, and then DC kind of responded with the DC Finest Collections. But I love this format. This is how I've been reading a lot recently, is within this Marvel Epic Collection format. And it is basically the perfect size because it is not too big like an omnibus, which I do have an omnibus haul planned here in the coming weeks, and it's not real small like those compact editions that I've been talking about recently. It's a normal comic book size, like the paperback size, the floppy issue size, but you get a whole bunch in one book. So they're just really easy to read. So this has pretty much become my preferred format to collect, which is why you'll see the most of these more than any other in the collection or haul videos I've been doing recently. So today I'm going to go right over to the overhead and I'm going to talk through all 9 of the Marvel Epic collections that I've picked up recently. So this is a brand new item to my collection, but I'm really happy about them and really excited for them. So let's not waste any more time at all. Let's move over to the overhead and we'll dive right into my latest Marvel Epic collection haul. So excuse the weird lighting today, but I'm trying to get as little glare as possible. You can see some on here already, but hopefully it'll be enough that you can actually see these. But we're going to start off with Astonishing X-Men. This is the Joss Whedon run, and this is Gifted is the title on this one. So this is Volume 1, which takes place from 04 to 05, or was released in 04 to 05. And this one is kind of a thin one compared to some of the others. This only has 12 issues, issues 1 through 12 of the Astonishing X-Men. There is a Volume 2 as well that I will probably pick up after this. Now, this is a run that I believe I've actually read in the past, but it has been so long that I'm sure I won't remember much of it. Though, as I see this first page here, I do remember this. I think I owned Volume 1 of this many years ago. So we'll just kind of flip through so you guys can see some of the artwork. And again, apologize for the glare. I'm just not sure how to not have any glare, but still let you guys see what's going on. So this looks like a really well-drawn story. And it's Joss Whedon, who, personal things aside, I've always enjoyed as a writer. So very excited to get into this one and see what it has to offer. I don't want to get too deep into these because I don't want to give any major spoilers or anything, but I want to make sure everyone's able to see the artwork. That is Astonishing X-Men Volume 1, Gifted by Joss Whedon. And like I said, this is probably one of the shorter ones in today's video. So let's move over to one that I'm currently reading. Actually, not this volume, but the story I'm currently reading. This is New X-Men, New Worlds, and this is the Grant Morrison run on New X-Men. This is 2002 to 2003, and this is Volume 2. So you might be wondering, where's Volume 1? And the reason I don't have Volume 1 in my collection is because I actually ordered that through eBay a while ago. I talked about this in an old video, but I ordered it through eBay, and it came in just completely destroyed. I probably have some pictures that I've already put up on Instagram of it. It was just awful. So I ended up reading it before I ended up returning it because, forget them, it wasn't an individual seller. It was some big private or some big like thrift books or something big like that. So I didn't feel bad about it, but it was in awful shape. It was listed as good condition and it was very poor. Anyway, that said, I ended up reading it. I loved it. It ended on a cliffhanger, and this one came out actually in June. So this one just came out recently. And so I had it pre-ordered and was really excited to check it out. And I really enjoyed it. Now, admittedly, the first half of this, not my favorite. It goes into this weird story overseas where they have like X-Men International thing going on. I didn't love that, but the whole point is that it brings in the Weapon 12, I believe it is, right here. And yeah, Weapon 12. And this is his story essentially at the beginning here, which doesn't really do much until the next volume, which is what I'm currently reading right now. Not volume 3, of course, because that's not out, but I'm reading it digitally because I need to know where the story ends. I love it. Phantom X, that's his name. It was slipping my mind for a second, but it's just such a great story. Grant Morrison is excellent. And so I'm just excited to keep going with this. I just finished reading, what issue was it? Maybe 143? Where does this go through? This takes you to 141. Yeah, so I think I was at like 145 or 146 now, I think. And it's really good. So it brings in a whole new aspect to it. And that's how it's going to finish out. So loving it and highly recommend this if you haven't checked it out. Start with volume 1, of course, which I think is really good. I am going to add that to my collection at some point. It's just not in it right now. But this is New X-Men Volume 2 by Grant Morrison, New Worlds. Let's stick with the X-Men, and we're going to go back a number of years here. So this is X-Men, The Fate of the Phoenix, and this is the Chris Claremont run of X-Men. You can see this is Volume 7, 1980 to 1981, and you can see all the issues that this one includes right down there, but there's quite a few in this one. So looking forward to reading this now. This is supposed to be one of the better X-Men runs. So I have this one, which I said was, Volume 7, and then you'll see another one, I skip a few, and got one of the more infamous runs of X-Men. This looks really good, so you can see again just all the issues that are included here. Some beautiful artwork with this. So I'm intrigued to see this. I don't love older comics too much, but once you get into the 80s, that's when I, historically anyway, have enjoyed those. So I'm just interested to see where this is going to go. And one of the reasons I'm not the biggest, look at all this dialogue. They are so dialogue heavy back in the day, which I'm just not the biggest fan of. Now that said, I loved what I read from Daredevil and whatnot, so maybe this will fall into that category where I really enjoy it. Yeah, it looks like beautiful artwork, and you're getting 80s X-Men, and this is supposed to be one of the better stories from X-Men. So Chris Claremont is kind of the guy when it comes to X-Men as far as I know, so this should be really well done, and I'm just intrigued to see where it goes. So this is The Fate of the Phoenix by Chris Claremont, which is Volume 7 of X-Men. Jumping ahead just a couple of years, we have one of the most infamous X-Men stories, God Loves, Man Kills, also by Chris Claremont. This is Volume 10, which is 1982 to 1983, and of course all the issues listed right there, but mostly 168 to 175 for the Uncanny X-Men. This actually is a story that I have read, but I read this one digitally, and I really enjoyed it. It is just such a well-told story that has a lot of meaning behind it, and I think it's beautifully told, frankly. Like, it's such, the artwork again is going to be fantastic, just like the last volume, but the story itself is very, I don't know the right word I'm searching for, but it has a lot of weight even today, and I think they just tell it really well. So definitely knew this was one of the epic collections I wanted to add to my collection. Happy to have this one and excited to read everything else around it, because I don't think I read much of the other stories that are included here. So I'll be intrigued to see what else there is to offer here. Oh yeah, Wolverine 1 through 4. That's the other big reason I got this, because it has the Wolverine, basically his origin story. I think it was his first kind of standalone. Oh, here's some extras in the back here, which is pretty cool. That's awesome. Anyway, yeah, so it has, like I said, the Wolverine 1 through 4, which is his first standalone, I believe. Beautiful artwork. I'm really excited to read this because I've never read this, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about it. Anyway, that is X-Men, Volume 10, God Loves, Man Kills by Chris Claremont. Now let's go to the late 80s, but we'll stick with an X-Men character. This is Wolverine, Madripoor Nights, also by Chris Claremont. And you can see on the back here, this is Volume 1, 1988 to 89. And it has Wolverine 1 through 16. Oh, so interesting. I didn't even realize that. So I guess I have Wolverine 1 through 4 now twice in my collection, but that's totally fine. Yeah, we'll look here. Is this the same? You know what? Maybe this is a different Wolverine? I don't know. You guys will have to let me know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, either way, this is supposed to be a really great starting point for Wolverine, which obviously it's the beginning, so it should be a good starting point. But I've heard really great things about this run. So this is one where I plan on, once I read this, you can see we're in the late 80s, significantly less dialogue now. But we are, or rather, once I finish reading this, I will likely want to continue, and they do have, fortunately, a number of them after this. Look at that. That's fantastic. But anyway, yeah, this looks like just a really good story as well. So hopefully I will enjoy it as much as most people have. These art, the cover art on a lot of these is just so awesome. There's another great example of that. But anyway, Wolverine Madripoor Nights by Chris Claremont, and this is Volume 1. Here's another story that I've actually read in the past. This is The Amazing Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt by Owsley. I'm not sure his first name, I apologize. But this is Volume 17, which is 1986 to 1987. Kraven's Last Hunt is one of the more well-known Spider-Man stories. And because of that, I wanted to read it a number of years ago, so I did so digitally, as I've done with some of the other ones I've talked about today. And it's one that, honestly, I didn't love, but I had no context around it whatsoever, and I think this is going to provide a little bit more of that, because you get more issues than what I read in the past. So this is one I am really looking forward to revisiting and hoping that it hits me a little bit better than it did the first time. Oh, Kingpin, Daredevil, villain, spotted here. I love that. But anyway, this looks awesome. You get some Venom in here as well. So I'm just looking forward to checking this out. I don't know much about what else is included here other than the main Kraven's Last Hunt story, but just intrigued to see kind of, you know, if it hits me in a different way the next time through. The only Spider-Man one in this collection so far is The Amazing Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt, and this is Volume 17. Should be a really good reread once I get around to it. So here's a book from the late, what I'm told, great Peter David. This is the start of his run on The Incredible Hulk. This is volume, 15, which is called Ground Zero, and this is 1987 to 1988. So lots of 80s comics in these epic collections today. But obviously, Peter David has just recently passed away, and I've never, at least knowingly, read anything Peter David, but I've heard just incredible things about his run with Incredible Hulk, so I guess that was a very poor choice of words, but you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, just this one should be great. I just love these 80s cover arts. I think they look fantastic. So I've loved Hulk from the movies, and I want to say it was like Hulk Gray, I believe, back in the day, and I enjoyed that, but that's all I've read for Hulk, so this will be an interesting experience just because I've always liked the character but never read much of his comics. And Peter David is supposed to be one of the greats, so rest in peace to him, and I'm hoping that I love his work as much as most people have. So this is The Incredible Hulk, Volume 15, Ground Zero, written by the late Peter David. To me, this one feels a lot different than some of the others we're going through today, but this is the Silver Surfer Thanos Quest, and this is Volume 6, 1990 to 1991. So this is, I believe, Jim Starlin, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is supposed to be just one of the best Silver Surfer stories ever. So I actually grabbed this one from Hamilton Book, which is the place that many of us watching probably buy our movies from for very cheap. Well, they have graphic novels and comic books as well, so that's where I grabbed this one for a very good price. Some of the artwork in this is so incredible. This is going to be such a fun read. I've never read anything Silver Surfer. I don't think I've ever even seen him in the movies because I never watched the 2 original Fantastic Four films, so this will be a whole new experience for me, but one that I am very excited to read because I've heard, like I said, just incredible things about this epic collection in particular. This very much reminds me of Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, the way this is done here. That's fascinating, which of course came out a few years before this, I believe. But anyway, this looks awesome, so I guess I will stop there. The artwork is incredibly impressive, though, so hopefully the story will be just as enjoyable. This is the Silver Surfer Thanos Quest, Volume 6 of the Silver Surfer Epic Collections. Arguably one of the ones I'm most excited about in today's video, even though it is by far the smallest of the ones I'm sharing today. This is Planet of the Apes Adventures, the original Marvel years, and this is Volume 1, 1975 to 76. Only 11 issues in this one. Adventures on Planet of the Apes, Volume 1 through 11. If I'm not mistaken, this one takes place after the original film, But again, if you guys know, let me know if I'm wrong down below, but I believe that's where this one is set. But I am a gigantic Planet of the Apes fan, and so I had to grab this one. I actually picked this one up from my local comic book shop that I've not, that was like the second time I've ever been there, but they happen to have it, and so I grabbed it. Now, I will say you can get the omnibus version of this for actually $10 cheaper than what's listed here. This is $34.99, which is what I paid for it since it was from my local comic book store, but you can get the omnibus edition of this, which I believe contains the same issues, but obviously it's going to be a hardcover, it's going to be larger format for about $25, at least last time I looked on Hamilton Book. And if I'd realized that that was not the Epic Collection, I would have grabbed that, but whatever, it is what it is. This one is totally fine for what I'm going to do. But I love Planet of the Apes, and so I'm very excited to read this. I did read I believe it was Boom Studios. They had a Planet of the Apes run, I don't know, maybe a decade ago, 15 years ago now, and it was fantastic. So I'm hoping this one is half as good, and I will be very thrilled. But the owner of the store, when I bought this, said, "Oh, you're buying a good one," so hopefully I will like it as much as he did. This is the Planet of the Apes Adventures, Volume 1 from the original Marvel years. So this may or may not fit the theme of today's video, but this is the latest package I received from In Stock Trades. So I wanted to open it on camera just so you guys could see how their packaging is, because it's always impressive. So first off, tape all around all the edges so no water can get in, which is always a positive. I remember I received an item from eBay once. It was left out in the rain. This was a movie, and it was just utterly destroyed. So very happy that they do that. Opening it up here, I might have to cut out if there's any personal information on here. I just don't remember. So first off, look at this. I love this cardboard in here. It keeps everything steady, which is great. And just for reference, this is not sponsored. There, I do see the receipt. Let me get the receipt out real quick. Well, I can't get the receipt out without opening it all up, so I just flipped it around. But anyway, you can see all of the bubble wrap in here, which is awesome. I will preserve that and use it for when I end up selling something on eBay. But you can see they have these, it's like perfect in here with the bubble wrap, so it doesn't move at all, which I just love. And then on top of that, they have this all in a bag. I'll set them like this so that there's not too much of a glare, but this is, I guess, very fitting for the video here. These are the Marvel Modern Era Epic Collection. This is Daredevil Underboss, which is Volume 2. So you can see right there, 2002 or 2000 to 2002. And I believe this is what kicks off the Brian Michael Bendis run, which is the reason I wanted to read it. From everything I've heard, this is the best place to go after you've read some of the things I've already read. I think I've talked about it before, but I have read Man Without Fear, probably my favorite graphic novel, or, well, I guess it would be a graphic novel, 6-issue run that I've ever read. And then I also read Born Again, which would probably be my third favorite, because then I read Daredevil Yellow, which I thought was just fantastic. So I was Googling where to go from there, and I believe this was where to go from there. So that's why I ended up purchasing these. So that is Volume 2, Underboss. And then, you know what, let me move the box out of the way now. All right, and then we have Volume 3, which is 2002 to 2003, and this one is titled Out. So very excited to get through these and see what's going on. You know, I spent all this time putting this up on this little pillow over here, but I guess if we want to see the artwork, we should utilize this one, so there are less spoilers in it. But you can see some of the artwork on this. Again, excuse the glare. I don't know how to not have the glare at this point. My apologies there. This looks very interesting. The art style on this is significantly different than what I've been reading with Daredevil prior. I am very intrigued to see if I'm going to enjoy this one as, ooh, look at this. That is very different than before, but I'm curious if I'm going to like this one. Almost a watercolor style. This reminds me of Daredevil Yellow a little bit, but significantly more realistic art style. So that is interesting. Very cool. Yeah, so I'm just, as I was saying, I'm curious if I'll like this one as much. I do like this art quite a lot. So we'll see how this turns out, but yeah, I guess I won't go much further just to make sure we don't get any major spoilers here. Artwork is very interesting. This watercolor style. And then, I don't even know, this is almost like a, I don't want to call it like a CGI style, but similar to it. It's kind of the vibes it's given me. yeah, I'm curious to see which, how this turns out. And hopefully I will like this as much as the others. This is Daredevil Volume 2, which is Underboss, and Daredevil Volume 3, which is Out. Now, you might be thinking, well, where's Volume 1? Great question. I don't remember, as I'm standing here right now, why I didn't start with Volume 1, but alas, we have Volume 2 and 3. Maybe Bendis, his run, probably picked up with Volume 2, but not 100% sure as I'm standing here filming. But yeah, so excited to have both of these in the collection, my two newest Marvel Epic collections from In Stock Trades. All right, so there are all 9, and they are so heavy. But yeah, anyway, let me know down in the comments below. I want to know what your favorite style of collecting comic books is. Is it digitally or physical? And then if it's physical, what do you prefer? The omnibus, an absolute edition from DC? Do you do floppies, single issues, or do you do epic collections, trade paperbacks? Let me know what is your favorite way to collect in the comments down below. For me, right now at least, so far, my favorite has to be these epic collections and the equivalent on DC, the DC Finest. But really happy to add these to my collection and start reading all of these. But that is going to do it for today, guys. So let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end here. Before I let you go, I'll just encourage you all to consume some media today. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you all next time.